Happy Wednesday, guys and gals. Hope you guys are having a great week. So we've got another project here. This is going to be a pretty fast one. So I am absolutely, almost definitely, maybe certain that it won't go into a second video. So, which is kind of strange because all of our projects seem to go into multiple videos, but I better stop talking and get to it so we can get it done on this video. So we have an announcement to make, and you guys have asked, and Vicky is delivering. We have a brand new font that we are calling our Tiki font. So check it out. This board that you see here was actually our test piece for that big total boat sign that we did. So we wanted to see, number one, whether it would work, and this was our test piece, was actually worked a little bit easier than our eventual total boat sign. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this test piece and I'm going to make a sign out of it. We're going to have a brand new piece of artwork that is going to fit here that we'll talk about in a little bit. But, and basically it's about 4 inches tall, 3.5, 4 inches tall. So I'm going to talk a little bit about layout. Now the way this is, I think will look a little bit better if that top line actually has an arch to it. So I want to talk to you a little bit about how I cheat on making my arches. So as I turn, I'm going to actually have to turn this around, but you guys, hopefully that will work okay for you guys. So what I'm going to do in this instance is I got a couple different ways that I can get an arch on there. And I'm going to go with my fastest way, but I'm going to show you the other way as well. This is just a round thing that I had, and I looked at it, and the thing about when you've got a short word and a short distance, you want something with a little bit more round to it, because if it was more of a gradual, then you really couldn't tell whether the letters were just off or whether they really had an arch to them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this as my, well, I can just eyeball that side to side. I'm going to come down 4.5 from the top, because I know my piece of artwork is going to be 4.5 from the bottom, so that'll balance it out top to bottom. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to measure, let's see what 4.5 looks like that way. Yeah, 4.5 and 4.5, that looks about right. I may cheat that just a little bit, but basically now I know top to bottom, I know my arch is right. Left to right, I know it's right. I'll move these out of the way, and I'll just draw my baseline. And I think that will give me a pretty good baseline to go by. I think the eye is typical one way or the other. I think it'll work. So now I'm going to carve these inset. They can be done outset, but for the first time carving them, I'm going to carve these inset. So that is, and then what will happen is the bar will just be on a straight line down here. But let me go into another way to get that arch. If you don't, this is obviously the easiest way to do it, but there's another way that I've used for years and years and years that is a different way to get an arch. What I have to do is kind of set this up on something. So let's say that arch wasn't there, and let's say we needed more of a gradual arch. This would be really difficult to do in a short distance because of the way I do it. But let's say that we want an arch there. What we can do is take a couple blocks. Let's make it, for this purposes, let's bring them down about 7 inches from the top. I don't know if that'll be right. I might have to adjust that. And then what I'm going to do is I've got it measured from the side. I'm just going to make it flush with the side. Let me make marks just to see. I'm not, that wasn't even close. I guess maybe I should have prepared a little bit better for this. But all I'm doing is just giving you guys another way to make an arch that I've been doing this for years. I used to actually do it if you need to make an arch on the inside. I've actually driven nails down in there to hold these things in place. But the only way I do nails is if it was the nails were in a background. Let's say I was going to do outset letters and it was in a background. So another way to do this arch would be literally do that and then bring that up. Now that won't make near enough arch, but again, all I'm trying to do is teach a way to make an arch. So you would definitely want to have the same distance from the top and the same distance in, so that now, if you had an extra pair of hands, they could draw the arch for you, and you could do it that way. And you literally could almost mimic that. But obviously, that puts a bend in your yardstick or whatever you're using. This is definitely the easiest way, what I did. But that's another way for you guys that need to make good, even arches. That's another way to do it, just so you guys can get creative on how to make arches. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and set this all up, and then we're going to come back and we're going to lay this out and we're going to carve these letters. All right, so I got everything just where I want it. Now I've taped off the resin part of it here because when we poured that, you can see, well, maybe you can see, it's kind of down below the surface. It won't make any difference by the time we're done, but right now I don't want any black to get on there that I can't reach with my sander. So that's why we completely sealed that thing off, so there's no black that'll get down in there. Yeah, we got some wind, some breeze blowing in here on the patio. Another one of those windy days. And the flies are out. I think that'll give me a good enough line. Yeah, I think I can follow that. All right. We'll set up, come back, and do some carving. All right, guys, let's get this thing carved. It is time to make some sawdust. So I could do this with my 60, and generally, these are 1.5 inch letters. Generally, I would do this with my 60, but because of the different, this is just a different, it's not just round and straight sides. I think I'm going to carve this with my profile bit. I think I can get a little bit more of those little shapes in there, indentations and whatnot. What'd you say?
I said detail.
Detail, yeah, that's exactly right. So I've decided to go ahead and do this with my profile bit. Again, nothing's ever set in stone. Go with what you feel is right. I'm here if you need any reference from me. I can help you out. But anyway, that is that. Let's get my lights on. Man, these fairy lights are sure working out well for me. I love these things. All right, here we go. Okay, so let me explain something to you. Number one, I think I went a little too deep. I don't even know how deep I was. I must have been, huh?
I said I was wondering.
I was maybe close to 1/4 of an inch. I was at 1/4 of an inch. I really didn't need to go that deep, but once I started, I went ahead and did it. The second thing is, if you go back and watch, especially right here, you'll see that my router did something, kind of went kind of off a little bit. You can see I cut away a little bit more than I really wanted to there. It's because of this edge right here. Let me show you and back this off. So what was happening is when I got to that point, this hit that edge. So that's something you need to be aware of, guys. And I had a little bit of an issue over here with it as well. So if you go back and watch, you'll notice that then I picked up this edge and I kind of went the other direction. Once I was past that, then I'm okay because now I'm up on here. But then once I knew that if I wasn't careful, when I was going to come this way, I kind of lifted it a little bit, and being as I was deep anyway, I wasn't really worried about that. But just be aware, guys, you never know, bless you. You never know when something might come up like that. It could even be a piece of sawdust that could have caught in there, and not necessarily the base plate catching on both sides. Anyway, just something to be aware of. I always kind of anticipate or expect that my router is going to catch on something. That's another reason that a lot of times I'll stay inside the line. In case that does that, then it's still I still got room to do what I need to do. All right, so I think what I'm going to do, man, there's not much meat in there. But I think I will still use the 60 to take that stuff out. The 90 would be too fat to fit in some of those places, but I think the 60 will make a nice little dimple background there. So we'll come right back with the 60. All right, so we've got our little rigid and we've got our 60 degree, and it's set at about 3/16, but I may hold one edge of the router base plate up so that it doesn't hit down full depth in most of the places. I just want to go in there far enough to get that background or the middle of those letters down below the surface. Here we go. Okay, boy, that cherry really is hard stuff, and it carves well, but man, it is hard. And I think my 60 degree is not as sharp as it should be, because that was difficult to hold on to. All right, but I like the way it came out. Okay, let's. What we're going to do is I am going to spray that thing off camera. You guys don't need to see me spray it anymore. I'm going to spray it, mask it off, spray it off camera, and then when we come back, we will sand this thing off and see how it looks. We'll be right back. All right, folks, let's sand this thing off. So I'm going with my Dynamic Duo 80 grit and 120 grit. Here we go. All right, I think that is about it. Let's take a look. Ready?
Right, hold on.
I like it. Huh?
Very cool.
Yeah, I like it. So here's the deal, guys. I am going to finish this up, and then you guys are going to see this on Friday night. We'll be on YouTube Live on Friday night, and we're going to put some artwork there, and I think it's going to look pretty cool when it gets all done. We'll put a finish on it, and we'll talk about it on Friday night. So hope you guys can join us then. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please email me, eric@makeawoodsign.com. And don't forget, when you do write me an email, be sure and put your name in there. A lot of people are sending emails from their smartphones, and they forget to put their name in there, and then I don't know who I'm talking to. So please leave me your name as well. And we would love it if you'd give us a thumbs up and share this video and like it and all of that stuff. So if you guys need to get a hold of us through the website, there it is. If you need to get a message to Vicky, it's vickywithdavesigns@gmail.com. And we will see you guys on Friday. Have a great one. Bye-bye.